Well, there it is. I mean, it's a weird experience when West Ham draw a game and we are a bit deflated. When in actual fact, we've played 4 games in Europa League. We've got 10 points. Yes, we've only conceded 2 goals, but we're. I don't know how to explain it, really, to be honest. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. I'm Anton, joined by Still and Matt. We've just seen West Ham travel to Belgium, play Genk, draw 2 each. I mean, look at the state of you still. I mean, you look totally, I don't know. Explain to me what you're feeling.
Well, that was a proper European game, wasn't it? It was a proper European game that, in all honesty, we should have kind of lost. Because Genk in the first half were all over us, but we made it easy for them. And I feel... Look, if you'd have asked any West Ham fan after 4 games, would you be happy with 3 wins and a draw, within a point of qualifying and winning the group? I think most of them would have bitten your hand off. And so I kind of like, I shouldn't be disappointed, and I don't think I am disappointed. But it's like you said, we're not accustomed to not winning.
You're just adjusting. You're just adjusting.
Isn't that weird?
But that's the thing, though. It is making that adjustment. We're making that adjustment to West Ham the way that we're used to performing, and because we're in the last 18 months to 2 years been performing at the highest tempo, the highest level, and to even to go 1-0 down. And I know we usually tend to fight back. I get that, and we've done that tonight. And to be 2-1 up, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. The headed goal from Souček, we'll dissect the game in a second. That was a deflating thing. It wasn't Souček's fault. It was just an error.
Yeah.
But it was just to lose that way. I think I would have rather it been a proper Genk goal than such a shitty headed own goal from Tommy Souček.
It
Matt,
wasn't shitty. Mate? It was a brilliant diving header.
It was, to be fair. How you feeling, Matt?
You know what? It's double sided because you're a bit gutted. Like, we thought we dragged it back at the end and done enough to do it. However, it's probably a fair result, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe even slightly lucky on our side because first half they were tearing us apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I found really interesting in particular was even about the first half, and we will again dissect the game in a second, but coming to the end of the first half, I didn't want the end of the first half to end because West Ham kicked into gear about 38, 39 minutes into the game. And you knew halftime was coming and you kind of thought to yourself, don't blow that whistle, ref, because we've got momentum. I think that's where if we'd have kicked in maybe 20 minutes earlier, we could have potentially gone in up. I think we got away with the opportunity. Listen, let's get into the game itself. The starting lineup, let's talk about it. The starting lineup. You were a bit peed off a bit still, weren't you, in particular? Because we obviously brought in...
No, don't misunderstand me. Not peed off per se, but I was questioning why Antonio Benrahma were playing, but then the reasoning came out because Vlasic he had a knock and Yarmolenko as well. So I thought, okay, fair play. But I just kept asking myself and kept asking you guys, could there not be an alternative to Antonio and Benrahma? And then you look at the bench and you think, well, who have you got there that you're going to also want to start at the weekend? Fornals and Bowen. So wasn't peed off, but it was just like, why? But then when the reasoning came out, I was like, okay, fair play. The rest of the team, I think, sort of like picked itself when it comes to teams in cup competitions and Europa League, etc. So no, not pissed off per se. And I also did say last week in the League Cup against Man City, Souček started. So I kind of thought that it would be Declan's turn tonight. So he's mixing those two players up. But it's good to see Krc back, because maybe he'll start giving us an alternative in the cup competitions to having to pick Declan all the time and pick Souček all the time.
Of course. And I think, Matt, we knew obviously very early on that Vlasic and Yarmolenko had taken a knock and weren't going to make the game today. Disappointing, but then equally though, we've got such a strong squad. Having Benny start the game and Antonio, which is we could call it a dangerous move, but it's worked. It's done its job. How did you feel about the starting lineup, mate?
I mean, we picked most of it. I'll be honest. I was surprised. I wasn't. I was surprised Noble started, but then Krc probably wasn't going to be fit to play 90 minutes. So, and like we said, he'd rotated Souček, so you had a feeling he wasn't going to play both of them. I don't think Benrahma or Antonio would have started if Vlasic and Yarmolenko were fit.
Yeah.
So it was sort of a mixture of the team that he wanted and the team that he had to play. I thought it was. I didn't think we needed to play Benrahma and Antonio. I don't think he would have if he wanted to. But I thought it was all right. I wasn't sure about Noble in the middle, especially away from home when we're going to be doing a lot.
Yeah.
I know we've had a very good start in Europe in this Europa League campaign, but typically a European game, the away team will sit back and counter, and the home team will do all the running and attacking. So if we're going to be chasing shadows for large periods of the game, sitting back, trying to hassle and hurry and block and chase, that's not where you want Noble.
No.
He's not got the legs for that anymore.
Well, listen, let's dissect the game a little bit. We'll come on to individual players in a second. 4 minutes into the game, Genk take the lead. A through ball picks out the run of Panstil, whose pace takes him clear of Dawson. He shoots low and hard with his right foot. Areola does get a touch to the ball, but can only divert the ball into the inside of the goal to make it 1-0 to Genk. Still, with that one goal there, I mean, that set the tone for the first half. It wasn't a great save or attempted save by Areola. It was an error really from him.
I think it was errors leading up to the goal and the goal itself. I think our defending wasn't very good. Kind of gave the ball away pretty easy. We started the game off so slowly, and we have had a tendency to do that, where we start slow but really, really slow, and then it just sort of escalated, and our defending wasn't good, and then the shot, Areola. I don't know which one of you said it, looked like he might have been coming for it, then decided not to. So he caught himself in no man's land. Where he seemed to be quite far away from his 6-yard box, and so the angle made it, it was quite difficult for him, and he got a hand on it, but should have been a stronger hand, because he proved throughout the game, when he actually kept us in the game, that he very, very similar shots that he saved in a similar way was a very strong hand on it.
Well, that's what I was just about to say, Matt. Literally 9 minutes later, West Ham are 1-0 down. Genk are coming at us again, and they do from a corner. I think they've had 2 chances within a short space of time. And like Stella's just said, Areola has come in and put a strong hand to it, tipped one over the bar, and another smart save, the second one instantly after it, to parry the ball away. But we were under pressure, Matt. What was going on?
I think I said, maybe I said it at half time, but we lacked energy up front, in the final third, and it's all just domino affected from there. There was no energy up the fronts. There was no one was getting on the ball making passes. No one was harrying defenders. So all of a sudden, their defence and their deep lying players had an easy time. So it was all right, yeah, we can stroll about and pass the ball. And we just, I don't know. I think the early goal through the defence, someone said it in chat that Dawson and Diop did not look comfortable on the ball. They're playing hot potato with it. Even in the first half, they didn't want the ball. The winger, the little Japanese guy, at least for the first half an hour, was just running.
Well,
running ragged.
You've kind of brought me on to him, because literally a couple of minutes later, he collects the ball, he skips by Masuaku, Rice brings him down, picks up a yellow card, but he dominates play really for the first 25, 30 minutes. He's a creative, individual who can make things happen. He drops his shoulder, and he was doing it all game. He was doing it. He did do it a bit in the second half, not as much as he did in the first half, but he did cause us a lot of problems, didn't he? Still,
he did. I was impressed by him. I was impressed by two of their players. He was one of them, and he went at us. He was a direct player, attack-minded player, and he caused us one hell of a load of problems. And I think Matt's right. You know, I don't want to start picking individual West Ham players out, but he was controlling the middle of the park because of his pace. I thought he was going to play much wider out, but he kind of played through the middle. And I'm sorry to say, Mark Noble could not keep up with him. You know, and you notice this when you have you know, when Souček and Declan are not playing in the same lineup, we lack something, and that's why it was good to see Krul come on, because he might be able to give us something a bit similar to Declan and Souček. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not going to start picking on individual West Ham players, but we suffered, you know, and he was part of that suffering because he was direct, he had pace, and he had ideas. I like that. You know what he reminded me of? When we first got Lanzini at West Ham, when he was playing alongside, you know, what's his name? The Frenchman.
Payet.
Payet. And, you know, like nippy and sort of in and about people. And the minute he got the ball, you felt like something was going to happen. I was impressed by him, immensely impressed by him.
Yeah,
I don't think he gave us that away when they played at home. But then you don't expect a team when they're playing away from home to play the way they play at home. So yeah, he was good.
I mean, to be honest, Matt, 20 minutes into the game, I don't even know how the game didn't stay at just 1-0. You know, Genk had the better of chances. West Ham were progressing forward every now and then. I think we forced their keeper into a couple of good saves. I think Dawson header from a corner, a cross in. It was a kind of looping ball over the top. A fantastic save from their keeper. And then bang, they keep coming at us again, thanks to Ito, who was being creative in the middle of the park. And I don't actually know, after 25 minutes, 30 minutes, I have no idea how the game was only still 1-0, either to Genk or even West Ham didn't get on the team sheet. But I think we saw Ito as a threat. He got through on goal. There was a bit of a kind of mix-up between Areola and Dawson. Areola came late to the ball. He came out to collect the ball. By doing that, kind of clipped Ito's shin. It was a collision, and Ito was struggling after that. You know, I think it was about 30 minutes in. And I know it sounds really bad, but that moment probably helped West Ham.
In some ways, I mean, I think we had, like, in the middle of, like, the first bit, we had a flurry of corners. He said Dawson was unlucky with one, but they just, every time they got the ball, they were just cutting through us. There was one chance, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Ito again, and he got down to the byline and pulled it back for the guy that was almost on the penalty spot. And he was literally, if he puts it on target, he probably scores.
Yeah.
And like he dragged that wide, and you were thinking, what? The only favour that maybe miscommunication done us is I don't think Ito was as effective for the rest of the game as he was inside that first half an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he didn't want to come off. Like, you could see he was like, oh, no. You know, he looked in pain when he was down and he was hobbling, and like, whoever was in charge was like, no, you need to come off. He wanted to stay on. I think that affected him, and that may have helped us, but it didn't really shake.
Yeah.
It didn't really shake them that well. For the next 5 minutes, they still were quite content on the ball.
And I think, 40 minutes into the game, you're starting to think to yourself, right, okay, West Ham are picking up a little bit. And within a couple of minutes, we had a couple of chances. And I think it was on the 45th minute, literally on the buzzer, was when the ball was cleared off of the line, thanks to one of the Genk defenders. Say hi to everyone. And it was a great clearance, really, from them, wasn't it? But I don't know how we never got the ball in.
It was. I'm trying to think. It was like a 1-2. Antonio played with, I want to say, Benrahma, and it was a really tight angle. And he's just tried to hit it low and hard. The keeper almost like sat on top of the ball, squirmed underneath him. And the only thing you'd say, unfortunately, is Deck is still a more defensive player than an attacking player. So his first reaction wasn't to gamble on the shot. He sort of probably just expected Antonio to score it to go out for a corner. And fair play to defender. He literally threw his body on the line. I mean, they did humorous with the goal line technology. No part of the ball was over the line. Like half the ball was on the line. But
you know, West Ham were progressing though. We were progressing still, weren't we? And it was unlucky for West Ham. And Genk deserved to be 1-0 up at halftime. But for that point, you thought if we could have got a goal just before halftime, it may have given us that good start. Yeah,
we got into it. We got better. The last maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of the first half, we started to improve, but there were still problems in the way we were playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we went in at halftime feeling that bit more confident than if we hadn't had those last 10 minutes where we kind of started getting back into the game. I think we would have gone in at halftime feeling quite kind of nervous. And I think in a way that kind of set the tone for the second half, you know, because had we not had that 10-minute spell in the end of the first half, I think it'd have been very, very different in the second half. I think Genk would have continued to have had their tails up, but I think Genk got a sense of what we were about.
Yeah. Well, we've gone into the second half. Second half started the same. Let's fast forward though to the 58th minute because it was quite an important part. Moyes decided to make 3 substitutions. We had Bowen come on, Fornals come on, and Tommy Soucek come on. Antonio, Noble, and Masuaku came off. So before we talk about the substitutions, let's talk about briefly, Antonio, Noble, and Masuaku. Who do you want to take still? Which one of them? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll put you on Antonio today.
All right. Well, you know, I don't think any of those 3 players had a good game. You know, and it's funny because we were talking about Antonio before the game started, and we were talking about how Antonio seems to be turning into a proper, into a real number 9, where he doesn't have to run around the whole game in order to be effective. He doesn't have to be involved in the whole game in order to be effective. He just needs the odd chance here and there. But he frustrated me because there are times when Antonio doesn't look up, and great that a striker wants to score goals. But there was one opportunity in the first half where he got the ball, he tried to beat 2 or 3 players. If he looked up, he would have seen a couple of players out wide that he could have passed the ball to. He didn't, and he tried to have a shot and he lost it. And that kind of frustrated me. And I thought, here we go. Antonio's not going to have a good night tonight. And there have been a number of games this season where he hasn't been. And if you remember, you know, there have been times when I've been doing the watch along with you guys and saying, I think they should take Antonio off. And then he goes and scores a goal. And I'm like, well, how wrong am I? But it was another game tonight where I'm tempted not to say, I think we should take Antonio off because, like I said, he only needs a minute to make a difference. But he was just not in the game at all. And it's interesting, Russ made a point, you know, this Genk team are training with Onuachu day in, day out. So they'll know how to handle a big guy up front.
Big lad.
Because and they knew they kept him out of the game. He didn't even get sniffed tonight, but he just didn't look up. He
didn't. But all I could say and all I can add to that is, to be fair, in the first half in particular, I didn't really see a huge amount of excitement from West Ham, a huge amount of creativity.
No, we didn't.
It was a little bit like a lot of players running around like a headless chicken.
But usually, though, Anton, it's when a player like Antonio grabs the ball and takes the game to the team. But he wasn't even doing that tonight. No. And I don't want to, you know, look, I don't want to put players down, but you can tell fans who've been watching the game will know who did well and who didn't do so well. And he wasn't the only player. I think there's an awful lot of players on the pitch tonight who didn't have a good game. But yeah, Antonio didn't surprise me that he came off. Didn't surprise me. He needs to be rested for Sunday as well.
Masuaku? Disappointing game for him tonight. It was. I mean, listen. Still, I know people in the chat will say.
No, I'm not going to say anything.
Listen, no. I'll come to you on him in a minute. But I think, you know, I'll give him credit where credit's due. I thought he played well against Man City, but I don't think he played well tonight. I think he's maybe shown why he's lacking a bit of something about him tonight. To be honest, what do you think, Matt?
Well, for start, I said that, like, you know, no one in that attacking lineup done themselves any favours, and Moyes had to bring 2 different attacking players on. What I would say is he did put in a couple of good balls at times.
A couple,
I think even
yeah.
just before he came off, he got down to the byline and pulled the ball back right onto the penalty spot, where you expect for one of the attacking fielders to be, or maybe Suchek or Rice to be running from deep to get on it. But yeah, he didn't offer much. He didn't make many mistakes. I don't really remember him giving the ball away, but I don't remember him doing much.
Yeah.
I made the comment quite a few times in the first half. Most of our passes went backwards.
Yeah. And listen, I mean, we could be here all night talking about the one individual player. Can your son play left winger up front? He can actually. He's actually all right for a 5-year-old. On top of that, Captain Noble came off. Tommy Suchek came on. Like I said, a triple substitution. But very, very quickly, within 1 minute of those substitutions made, that man, Saeed Benrahma, stepped up and scored a fantastic goal for West Ham. Soufal raced onto the ball, cuts the ball across, square for the Algerian, who converts with a first-time finish into the edge of the goal to make it 1-1. What did you think of that one, Still?
Well, great. It's a really well taken goal, and I was pleased with Benrahma, and it got us right back into the game. And it's interesting because people have started talking about dropping him. People are talking about, Lanzini should be starting and in the Premier League, and Benrahma's not up to it. Benrahma's got, the 2 goals he scored tonight. He's got 6 goals this season.
Yeah.
So I don't really get that kind of that talk. I was pleased for him. I think it was a really, really well taken goal, and it got us right back in. But it was a good build-up play. I was raving about the actual build-up play itself.
The build-up play was lovely. Yeah,
I thought it was really, really good. And people were going, "Oh, come on, still, it wasn't that great." It was actually a really, really good build-up play. We won the ball back in the middle of the park. It was spread out to the right-hand side. It was a really good cutback from Soufal, and Benrahma was there and calmly slotted it in. How many times have we seen in the past, a West Ham player or Benrahma hitting that and it hits the goalie or it hits a defender or it hits the post or whatever? He was calm and he slotted it in really well. Really pleased.
You could say, really, Matt, that the game was a game of 2 halves because it was all Genk in the first half and probably all West Ham in the second half. Do you agree with that?
Game of yeah, I think they probably had the better of the first half an hour. Yeah. We probably had the better of the next 55 minutes. Yeah. And then they sort of tried to push on in the last 3 minutes. Something's made a difference. We looked sharper. Passing was crisper. We actually started putting a run of balls together. Started getting more attacks. They started dropping further and further back. And I think the first goal and even the second goal, I think they were fair to us. I thought we maybe had got away with it, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think, the fact that we were progressing in the second half, we had chance after chance in the second half, and that led to I think it was 82nd minute. Benrahma picks up the ball, knocks the ball by the Genk player, goes into the box and smashes the ball into the back of the net to make it
brilliant goal.
2-1 West Ham. Another good goal, and another good goal for a player that's, yes, okay, I know people will tear into him, but in terms of his work rate's there. But getting 2 goals tonight would do him the world of good again, wouldn't it? Still,
absolutely. And I think he doesn't need to have to prove what a good player he is because he's already shown that all season. We know what last season was like. He had a not a very good season last season, and people were talking about Moyes didn't use him enough, and Moyes doesn't trust him, etc., etc. You saw what happened tonight, and throughout this season, he's having a very good season, and that second goal shows the confidence that he's won back, and it also shows the Benrahma that has been spoken about from Brentford fans that he can do that sort of thing, and he's now beginning to do it. He's now got the confidence to be able to do it. I mean, the way he slinked past the defenders and then toe poking it through the keeper. Superb goal. Absolutely superb goal. And it will do his confidence the world of good, without a doubt. Definitely.
But, again, a couple of chances. I think Lanzini then was replaced. It was good to see Alex crawl back today. Stato, I mean, not really enough time, 5 minutes to make any form of impact. At that point, you're thinking West Ham going to try and see out the victory. But, Krol, what, you happy to see him back in the field, yeah? And what kind of dynamic will that give West Ham moving forward?
gives them an option. It gives them an option. You know, I think we've made a point that the last couple of cup games, one of Rice or Souček's been rested because the other one still had to play. So it gives them, and we saw. You know, I think I remember the first game he played Man United. We played Man United in the cup. He actually played really well. And then we thought I was going to get the cup games. Then he got COVID and he's been out for about 3 weeks. You know, this little run we've been on with winning games, we've had the cup games, and I think Rice and Souček have played most of it, if not all of it, because he hasn't. Crowell's not been there. Yeah, I couldn't see much of him today. I think for him, it's probably just good to get out on the pitch and get a couple of minutes under his belt. But it just means that we're not entirely reliant just on Rice and Souček. It does give you an option that if one of them isn't in a bit of form or in a bad run or even in a game just isn't making it tick, that you do have an option to bring someone else on that can still do the same job.
Yeah.
And I think someone made the point, you know, if Krc had been more match fit, I don't think Noble would have started today.
No, I don't.
This wasn't you know, on paper, it should have been a game for Noble. But in reality, especially when you saw Pansil and Ito and the pace that they had, it was a bit of it was not a good game to play Noble. And I think possibly if Krc had been more match fit, he probably would have started over Noble.
What we did see though was an own goal by Souček. I mean, really, no one was at fault. It's probably just a disappointing way to lose a goal and not lose the game. You know, that's what made the game of Desmond, a 2 each, and but you couldn't help but feel deflated. I think I would have preferred, more think about it, I think I would have preferred a really well worked Genk goal to concede to make it a draw and a point rather than an own goal like that. It was disappointing, but the game ended 2 each. I mean, let's be honest, there was a couple of beautiful, right at the end, a beautiful build-up play. I think Rice was playing the ball out wide and they were kind of, he was driving forward. He was giving us the Declan Rice that we know he's capable of doing, but we just couldn't really put the ball in the back of the net. Let me read some stats to you. West Ham it was literally 50-50 in possession. Literally, it was like 0.4 of a difference of possession. West Ham had 15 shots. Genk had 14 shots. West Ham had 7 on target to Genk's 5 on target. Genk had 8 off target, obviously, to West Ham's 5. Our passing completion rate was 85%. Genk's was 85%. So it just shows you that the game was very, very, very equal today. And those stats kind of show that, don't they? Aerial duels won. Here we go again. 50% from both teams. 4 saves each. Fouls committed 8 each.
They came at us today. They had a game. Someone mentioned it, trying to look for the comments. They had a game plan, and it worked well because it caught us off guard, and they benefited from it. And the fact that it caught us off guard, I think it put us on edge. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the players that we kind of expect to put in a performance didn't do so. And I don't. And I think, you know, if I feel flat about something, it's more about the realization that we actually don't have an equal squad of 22 players. We actually really do have a first 11 and a second 11. And I don't want to admit that, but there are some players that can overlap. There are some players from the second 11 that will
into
the first 11.
For me there's a realistically, for me there's a solid 15,
16 players, yeah.
15, 16 players, I think, in my opinion, a solid, like, you know, you could.
But then you look at some of the players who you say are solid, like, you know, run through really far. Areola, yeah, he actually, apart from that, he was as much at fault for their first goal as most of the other players involved. Yeah. But other than that, he had a really good game.
Yeah, he did.
He actually really kept us in it. Dawson and Diop, who we've been singing praises of tonight for the whole season, they both didn't really have good games at all. No, but, they were all right. But
that's tonight still. I mean, you know yourself.
I know. I'm putting it in perspective.
They're solid.
They've been solid, but tonight kind of exposed them a little bit. When there was pace against them, they panicked. And also, I was saying during the game, when we have Antonio playing up front, when you've got the likes of Ogbonna and Zuma in defence, they don't necessarily look for the long ball to Antonio. They've been told, or they do, play it out. and they're part of playing the ball out. Whereas Dawson,
I don't know. Still, because I can go. No, but I can go
look
back
back at the
to.
game.
I can go back to the Brentford game to give you an example. I mean, I just feel like today we didn't get beat. We've done all right. We got a point, like everyone said in the chat. And today was just one of those days where
it was one of those games. But it
was
kind of brought. But what you want when the game's going against you is you want your players to show the quality that you know they have, and with the likes of and we're not deflated, mine. I don't know. It's not a deflation. It's a slight disappointment. But when the game's going against you, look, we didn't play well on Sunday against well, I'm not going to say it, Apache, but look at the game. You compare it against the game on Sunday against Villa. We weren't at our best, but certain players still put in shifts. The likes of Zuma was immense at the back, and other players, etc. And I guess when looking at tonight's game, I wanted, when things aren't going for you, you want your players to step up. And I'm not so sure that players like Dawson stepped up, and I'm not so sure that Noble stepped up, and I'm not so sure that Antonio stepped up. And there were other players around the pit, Masuaku didn't step up, etc. And I think that's the difference, and maybe now I'm beginning to realise that we do have a first 11. And like you said, there may be a core of 3, 4, maybe even 5 players who are also can be considered in that first 11. But there are a number of other players that when the going gets tough, you want them to step up. And I don't think some of our players did tonight, which is maybe if there was a slight deflation about the outcome, maybe that was it. It's the realization that maybe our squad isn't as strong as we like to think it is.
I mean, to be honest, when myself and Matt, don't we kind of dissect the especially when we do the previews in particular. I think we've always kind of said that we think. I mean, probably it's probably fair to say 16 or 17 players that we always 9 times out of 10 would fluctuate around, and I do believe in that 16 or 17 players, and I do believe also in the players that aren't stepping up to the plate just now that play a role within that team to a certain extent, and. But as people are saying in the comments, 4 games in, 10 points on the board, sitting top of the Group H, probably a point now, a point automatically qualifies.
We're a point from actually winning the group. That's all we need.
Everyone, I'll bring the group up as it stands. Now Vienna, from my understanding, are let me see if I can refresh that.
It's 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1. Yeah,
1-1.
Oh God, where's that gone? I just had it there 2 seconds ago. Oh, there we are. So let me bring this up for everyone to see before we head.
If they draw tonight, we've more or less won the group.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they draw,
absolutely. So there it is as it stands. So if the game does end in a 1-1 draw, like Stel's just said, there's 2 games to go. And we're 6 points ahead of all the other teams.
We only need a point, really, but
I think I don't even
is superior as
well. So I think a draw pretty much qualifies us, doesn't it?
Yeah. We only need a point, but
I mean their draw. If they draw tonight,
yeah,
because our goal difference is superior, then we've pretty much automatically qualified.
I think we're +7, aren't we, or something like that? And the nearest goal
+5
is 0.
Oh yeah, +7. Sorry, it is +7. Yeah. So there you go.
So that's as good as a point.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump through some comments before we head. I'm trying to get my mouse to work. There it is. There.
Yeah.
I've done up the top. No, I've gone up to the top. I've done that. I'm working my way down it now. Howard Ailes, Benny had a great game. George is saying Benny was man of the match. Michael was saying let Benrahma loose and he is king. Udarayaj Krishnan, Suchek was unlucky.
Great goal. One of the best own goals ever scored.
Hussein saying 1 million fans in Algeria now supporting West Ham. Yeah, because he scored 2 bloody goals. And then next week when he doesn't and one fan slags him off, you say 1 million don't. Come on.
Next week when Moyes puts him on the bench.
Even when he's not playing for us, you should be supporting West Ham. There you go.
Yeah, you should, mate. George, Benrahma did well because it was slippery, the inverse of Antonio. Hornswazzler, yes, but Benny could have scored 2 more. He'd thrown himself at the ball instead of passing it to the keeper still. Jordan Lane is saying we are still massive. Crosshammer said it was a rough game and they did well, but we can we please get Mikey a hammer? Yeah. All right. Okay. We can do this. Mikey, the Genk fan. I think he'll be really proud of his team tonight.
I think he will be, and rightly so.
They should be.
Rightly
Yeah.
so.
Shame about the own goal means less academy and remaining 2 games in the groups. Well, you never know, depending on the result of the game
Never
tonight.
know.
Over 100 watching, thumbs up, people. We are massive. We are. I mean, how many is that? Is that unbeaten in 7 now?
Don't
1-6.
tempt fate. I want to be
No,
unbeaten in 8.
One,
I want to. Yeah, it's unbeaten in 7.
1-6, drew 1.
And on Sunday,
Let's take that further.
yeah, let's take that further.
Where are we? There's so many comments here. It's mental. Crosshammer, Areola, not worth the money. If it's true, need to accept.
Well, you see, here's the dilemma on this, because he was poor for the goal, but yet you could argue
he kept us in the game.
He kept us in the game, and he pulled off some very, very good saves throughout the game. You know, and one's got to look at the defence. You know, because they work in unison, and if your defence ain't doing that well, it puts more pressure on the keeper. You know, so, but I think he was out of position for their first goal. But I think Areola. Let's see what happens by the end of the season. I still got a feeling Sam Johnson's coming to West Ham at the end of the season. But there you go.
Jordan Lane saying their tactics were solid. Yeah, I agree with you. They were. Liam saying today will test us on how far we've come from dropping our heads and carrots on Sunday against Liverpool. Big show of team from dependent on that result. And do you know what, Liam? That's a really good point, because again, going back to the old West Ham, a game like tonight, we would never have had the determination to go and even get something from it, being 1-0 down. So that does show you how far we've come. And it shows you, I think, about how we're acting. We're not down and out. We're just a little bit, tiny bit deflated because we don't desperately wanted the 3 points.
It becomes we become so used to winning that we get upset when we don't. Yeah. Yet we've walked away from home in a European game with a point.
Yeah, against a team that play yearly European football,
who play European football year in, year out. Yeah.
Funky T says, has Noble and Rice started the game together this season apart from tonight? I'm not too sure. Don't think they have. Oh no, they did. Did they not do the Vienna at home? Was it Vienna at home?
Yeah, Vienna at home. They both started.
It was.
Home game's a bit different though.
Jordan Dare. Now we know Moyes was right to select a stronger team for this one. Antonio was awful, but Benny was amazing in the second half. However else, Suchek header would have been the goal of this evening had it been at the other end. Jordan Dare. It was nice to see.
It's still the goal. I don't know. I'll give it to Benny actually. The way you know.
Yeah, great goals
really
from Benny.
Goal. Yeah,
absolutely. It was nice to see Suchek score and get the equaliser. He's been quite poor this season and needed that goal. Come on, you Irons from Jordan. Hornswoggle, I'm sorry, but we should be spanking a side like Genk. Hornswoggle,
I don't know. Hornswoggle.
See, my point to this is that you don't. I don't think Europe doesn't work like that. I mean, how many times have we seen every week for the past couple of weeks in particular, or over the last couple of months, that teams turn up and you expect a thumping and they either get a draw or they lose? So the fact of the matter is,
I think it's a wake-up call to us as well that, you know, I think Matt might have said it, where I think we were sort of like a bit too complacent, thinking that maybe the players themselves, we won 3-3, no goals conceded, it's going to be a walk in the park. And I think maybe it's a bit of a wake-up call, you know, because Genk aren't a bad side, and they reminded us that this isn't going to be a competition that I think we're going to win pretty easily. Still think that, but there you go.
Look, Legend saying might need to return Channel 5. Spurs aren't on. Might tune into Channel 5. Spurs aren't on. Arch Barley, in time it will be a good result, but I feel we're still short up front and missed too many of our chances. But who would have imagined this? Yeah. Yep. Jordan, Krul should have started. No reason to play him any more than Krul needs game time. I think we will see him get a bit more game time in the last couple of games.
He's come back from a COVID. You know, he's going to have to be eased in. So I think we will see more of him.
Yeah. Ronda and Tony Tanti. Diop had a horror start, but got better after 20 minutes. I agree with you. He did.
Not just Diop, though. Yeah.
It wasn't just him. I think a lot of the defence were struggling because their balls were all very penetrating.
Weirdly enough, again, our best defender on the night was Creswell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pat's in the house. When some of these players come into the team individually, they are fine, but a team of them doesn't really work. Bob Uncle, I thought what was encouraging was Bowen made Antonio look poor when he took over his position. Bowen did look decent, didn't he? Yeah, he looked
Telling you,
lively.
he's fast becoming my favourite
Yeah.
player this season.
Guys, we haven't lost. We're still unbeaten. You're talking like we're shite. A point away
Not
from
at
home
all.
Europa. We are massive.
No, not at all. I don't think we are. I don't think we had a good game. I think we have to be honest and say that. But good on us for the fact that we didn't have a good game and we walked away with a point. Yeah, fantastic.
WHUFC tactically Genk were good for the first 20 minutes, never got going. Could have been 3-0 down at half time, but Moyes changed things around. Liam Edwards, honestly, if we don't win or get a draw Sunday, Moyes needs to go back to the drawing board and see if he wants to push for Carabao final, Europa final, both or top 4 Prem. I don't know, Liam. I don't know, Liam. Liam, I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't agree. Josh, both Benny's goals were nutmegs, I think. Yeah, I think they were. That number in Algeria is 100,000. And is it? I thought I seen 6 zeros. Did I not see 6 zeros? Did I not? I'm not going back up there to check it. Desjardins Latelic. I love his name. Good evening, guys. Suchek scored a new Ian Dowie. Yeah, it was.
He did.
Ian Dowie was a whole new ball game.
In 15, 20 years' time, that'll be one of the YouTube videos that we'll be watching over and over and over.
I think
it'll be in a Russ competition in a Russ quiz in 15 years' time.
Yeah.
Like, give us the name of 2 players that scored diving headers.
Ian Dowie takes it by a million miles, though. Like I remember that because he was struggling to score on the other end for such a long time, and it was an absolute delta. I know, but it was an absolute bit. It was a proper striker's header. It was. I mean, both of them are really good as each other. Sad that we're talking about that, but hey ho. Good game. Genk scored 1 goal. Sure they did. Max Adams is Noble is finished.
I didn't want to be the one to say it, but I agree with that comment.
His last season.
Yeah, I know, but sentiment doesn't come into it, and maybe he shouldn't have started tonight. But there you go.
Just need to calm down still. The opera nightmare tonight. Can't blame the keeper. Michael P. Benrama 10. Right, well, we're not doing the rating show yet. I don't have a clue when we're going to do it.
Go for it, Michael. Don't listen to him.
Charles Lanzini was really good. Pat was saying, I'm not upset tonight. It was a good game. Dowie has rated Suchek's goal 9 out of 10. Thomas Gold said Genk could be in 3-0 up in the first 20 minutes. Yes, not to get the 3 points, was a little disappointed, but after they start, didn't not drop their heads like the old days. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I thought Uella played well tonight. He did. Antonio's been awful the last 3 games, John. Shame that Yarman and Vlasic were injured. It was a chance to shine, and Antonio could have been rested. Mm-hmm. You've given us the latest from James. Is the latest still 1-1?
Let's have a look.
Yep, I think it is.
It is still 1-1. That suits us right down to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Is it still 1-1? Yeah.
It is still 1-1, yep.
The hell is it? Interestingly, in the latest England squad, Jesse didn't make it. There you go.
I'm more worried that Jared didn't make it over Jesse.
No, but I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think
Mate, there's so many players that should have been in that squad that weren't.
Exactly.
And players that are in it that shouldn't be. It's,
Yeah. Got hope in us against Liverpool. I do. I've got a lot of faith in us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ronda and Tony Tanti would have taken 10 points from 4 games before Europa League started. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
watching Marseille versus Lazio, both teams look good. Payet versus Anderson, very interesting. What is the score in that game? Marseille, Lazio, 1-0 to Marseille. There you go.
It's 0-0.
I've got 1-0 to Marseille. No, it's just a goal. Just the goal's just been scored.
Yeah, it's 1-0. Yeah.
Trevor Book and Downhead in the FA Cup has got to be up there. Yeah, but that's not.
That's for us.
It wasn't an own goal. It was for us.
Yeah.
Kimbo says, if we're going to have a bad night, tonight is the night to do it. Come on, you Irons. And you are right, Kimbo. And that brings us to the bottom of all the comments. If you're new around here, go and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. And if you're interested in becoming a member, please go and hit the channel member option. Have a look at all our options. We're going to do the player ratings. Matt, are we doing it tonight?
I mean, I still haven't eaten yet. I need to go make myself some dinner.
I'll send a message after, and we'll toy with it. Or I don't even know what day's tomorrow. I have no idea.
Friday, Anton.
Friday.
Your day off.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, it is. Right. Thanks for joining us. I don't know what we're going to do. We might do the ratings later on. If not, we'll do it tomorrow night. Stell, we've got lunchtime live tomorrow. Are you doing a Friday late night
Yeah,
show?
no, I'm not. I'm guesting on someone else's show.
Oh, hold on a minute. Are you not supposed to be going to an event?
I'm meant to be, but no, can't do it.
Why?
Not
you're
because
going on
I'm guesting on someone else's show,
It
but
sounds like you are.
I've treble booked myself tomorrow. So
you're
because
choosing to guest yourself on a YouTube
no, I've got other things I have to do during the day, which means I won't be able to get to the event. I'm gutted because I'm really grateful for us for getting me a ticket, but I can't do it.
Let the side down again. Let the side down.
I don't know if I'll do a late. I might do a late, but if it is, it'll be like you're coming on. We'll have a chinwag. So
if I
can
do
slag
come
you
on,
off.
I'm coming. It'll be my last one for a while.
Well, exactly. But we'll make it like past midnight. But we've got other shows to do beforehand.
Oh, Dynamo taking the lead 2-1. Let's have a look here. Have they definitely taken the lead 2-1? Why can't I bloody see this score? Have they?
I'm just checking now. I can't say he's wrong. But let's just.
I think they have. I think they have.
Oh, I can see 2-1. Yeah.
I can still
can't
only
see that.
1-1. I can still only see 1-1. Maybe they're checking VAR.
Right.
That
anyway,
was weird. They were checking our first goal VAR. Don't know why. Yeah, but anyway.
I've still only got 1-1.
I've still only got
2-1
1-1 as well.
Right. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Make sure you join us. Subscribe, like, comment, all that malarkey. We're at top of the Group H as it stands. 10 points from 4 games. Can't complain. Buzzing with life. Unbeaten in 7. We'll take that. Let's move on to Liverpool and smash the Scouse lot on Sunday. Come on, you Irons.